spearheads cleanup campaign in the city, tougher regulations to be enforced against littering, and occupational health and safety measures intensify in mining camps. With the details of these and other features, I'm your host, Untitled Chapter. Guyana continues to play a leading role in implementing environment protection measures. Through the Natural Resources Ministry, tougher regulations will soon be enforced against indiscriminate solid waste disposal. Enforcement regulations will be signed under the EPA Act, which came into effect 17 years ago. Litter wardens will be appointed, and the judiciary has been written to requesting special courts in the magistracy. Additionally, fines and a ticketing system will be instituted.
We do hope that from the enforcement standpoint, it will lead to greater compliance and respect across the country. We've moved from the stage of concept to discussion. There were some consultations to review. We have now more or less in a position where we can see wardens out there, see greater fines and penalties being imposed.
There will be a grace period between the signing of the regulation and the stage of implementation, during which public awareness will be intensified. This step became necessary due to the inability of the Georgetown City Council to effectively address this matter.
It is sad that the City Council itself does not seem to be motivated enough to get its act together, and rather to be engaging in politics, and we see an internal city warfare. I know the ministers of local government and the Ministry of Local Government are very much focused on dealing with this issue, and has been encouraging and working with the City Council to get its job done, as it has been doing across the country. And there's some creative and certainly some welcomed initiative that the Ministry of Local Government has taken in this regard, which we have supported and which we have contributed to. And we will continue to lend that support, as that ministry and the various agencies are the primary entities that are responsible for solid waste management and disposals.
The private sector will be encouraged to look at alternatives for materials such as styrofoam and recycling. Most of the corn and peas in Guyana is imported from the Central American country of Belize. In an effort to reduce the food importation bill on these two products, the Ministry of Agriculture is moving to have them grown locally.
The ministry is working anxiously on this plan, which will see the crops being tested, grown in small quantities, and later, following successful testing, introduced to the local farmers for cultivation.
I've instructed the Guyana School of Agriculture to use its land in Essequibo. Now we have a Guyana School of Agriculture campus in Essequibo with some extensive cultivation areas, and I've instructed the GSA to plant 10 acres of black-eyed peas just to demonstrate that it can be grown in Guyana very successfully.
Whilst the black-eyed peas cultivation will be tested at the Guyana School of Agriculture lands in Essequibo, the corn will be grown at Monrepo.
Santa Fe in Region 9, the Barbadian company that is now growing rice in Region 9, is going to, has already started a plot of corn with seeds from Brazil. And so with Santa Fe as a private company growing corn, and with us demonstrating that it can grow well, we are hoping that some of the farmers of Guyana will take this on, so that if not eliminating importation of those products, that we can in fact reduce the importation.
Minister Ramsamy has lamented Guyana and the Caribbean region's high food importation bill, noting that the vast majority of what is imported in the region can be produced and supplied right in the region.
The Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, in collaboration with the Ministries of Public Works, Agriculture, Health, Tourism, and the Georgetown Mayor and City Council, spearheaded a 3-day cleanup campaign around the city.
Minister within the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, Norman Whitaker, and the Town Clerk Acting of the Georgetown Municipality, Carol Soba, visited several of the sites where workers were cleaning drains, removing garbage from unofficial dump sites, and weeding the road shoulders in an effort to clean up Georgetown.
This exercise involves a number of ministries and agencies. City Council is on board, and their workers are engaged primarily in the East and West Rhineville area, and we have asked them also to look at the Mandela Avenue area where people use to dump garbage. We have workers from the Ministry of Agriculture. They are involved in cleanup exercise in specific areas like Parade Street, North Road, Church Street. The exercise is going to be over a 3-day period.
Some of the areas included the East and West Rumveld, the environs between back and front roads, Church Street, and Kingston. Attention will also be placed on the border, Stabrook, and La Penitence markets. This activity was in keeping with World Environment Day, which was celebrated worldwide on June 5. It was initiated by the United Nations Environmental Programme UNEP in 1972. It aims to become the biggest and most widely celebrated global day for positive environmental action.
Over 42,000 pensioners are now benefiting from a 25% increase in their monthly pension as the government continues to seek ways to enhance the living standards of senior citizens.
With effect from May 1, 42,500 pensioners began benefiting from $12,500. This will see an additional $1.3 billion in disposable income being placed in the hands of pensioners. This increase will cost government $6.3 billion in 2013.
Our government has continuously every year increased the allocations and the budgetary provisions so that our senior citizens are able to benefit in a more meaningful way.
We feel happy about it because we're on pension. And we're not a rich country. So whatsoever the government offer, we must accept it.
Something is always better than nothing. Yes, at least you can buy a pound of sugar, a pint of rice or something with it.
In 2006, pension was $3,500, which was amended to $10,000 in 2012.
As part of the government's commitment to expand health facilities across the country and to ensure that all citizens have access to quality healthcare services, the Ministry of Health recently commissioned the Monrepo Health Center.
Initially, the Monrepo Health Center was operating as a chronic disease and outpatient outreach clinic twice weekly. This resulted in most of the residents having to seek services at neighboring Betfawacting and Luzignan Health Centers. However, the newly refurbished center is now providing services 5 days per week, covering areas such as maternal, child health care, and family planning clinics. It is also offering visual inspections using acetic acid or VIA services.
I'm very excited that the Ministry of Health and the Minister of Health are opening this health center because the people of Monrepo have been suffering for quite a while because due to the long journey they would usually have to go to the health center or the Sudan Health Center and the lines they would have to wait. So I'm really excited that the pregnant women and all the patients, chronic disease patients, won't have to go so far. So that they can just come right here in the village and we can offer all the services that the health centers have been providing.
Recognizing the increasing number of housing schemes on the East Coast, the Health Ministry sought a solution and decided to have the center fully functional so as to ease the burden placed on other facilities.
Before the Luzignan Community Center was established, I think 2-3 years ago, the people between Luzignan and Monrepo, they had to make a decision whether they go to Buxton Health Center or they come to Betfawacting Health Center. And therefore, between Triumph and this large catchment area, they had to make that decision, they had to make that choice. Today, we are opening an health center here, but the people between LBI and Lurie Souvenir, Success, they also they have to make that decision, whether they come to Betfawacting Health Center or they go to Pleasance Health Center.
Additionally, the Health Ministry will be working diligently to ensure that the same services are extended to areas such as Le Bon Intention, LBI, Le Souvenir, and Success, which are also on the east coast of Demerara, especially to accommodate pregnant mothers.
There's more to come, stay tuned.
$350 million will be used to facilitate the Amerindian Development Fund project, which provides financing to support the socio-economic development of Amerindian communities and villages through the implementation of their Community Development Plans, CDPs. These 180 CDPs will result in indigenous communities becoming more self-sufficient and residents enjoying a better standard of living. Guyana's economy grew by 4.8% in 2012, the seventh consecutive year of positive growth. This expansion was due to the macroeconomic policies put in place by government to protect the local economy and ensure a better life for all Guyanese. Economic growth is projected at 5.3% for 2013.
The 2013 National Budget grants exemptions from personal income tax to first-time homeowners, whose taxable income goes towards paying interest on mortgage of up to $30 million from a commercial bank or building society.
The Alliance for Change, AFC, and the Partnership for National Unity, APNU, cut $5.2 billion in subsidy to the Guyana Power and Light Company. Implications of this cut: higher electricity tariffs for GPL customers, prolonged periods of blackout, hardships for the manufacturing sector, increased costs for goods and services, halting of expansion projects that cater for increased electricity demand, and loss of jobs for Guyanese.
The Labour Ministry is heightening its monitoring activities, and owners and operators of mining concessions will face prosecution for violations of the Occupational Health and Safety Act.
Government is concerned about recent lapses and cases of negligence resulting in injuries and deaths of persons employed, particularly within the mining sector.
In collaboration with the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment and the ILO, we have worked on a draft order which we are putting to Cabinet. In fact, we have already sent it to Cabinet for its introduction. That is a very comprehensive order, setting out guidelines and working conditions in the mining sector. About 308 pages. The order is about 308 pages.
The Labour Minister lauded the work done by stakeholders in the sector, such as the Ministry of Natural Resources, the Gold and Diamond Miners Association, and the Women's Miners Association.
We want you to observe safety because it is everybody's business. You lose quite a lot when there are accidents at the workplace as employers. And therefore, if you put emphasis to safety, ultimately your business will be on the right path, will be on the road to prosperity, and it is not in your interest to have an unsafe working environment.
This sector has seen rapid expansion within the last few years as the price of gold has increased, and thousands have moved into various locations to earn a living.
The Health Ministry and the Women Miners Association have joined forces to address health-related issues among female miners. This is part of an ongoing effort to strengthen partnerships with stakeholders in order to ensure the delivery of quality health care.
Due to the increasing number of women in the mining areas, as a result of recent hike in the gold prices, the Health Ministry has sought to solicit the Women Miners Association's support in becoming partners towards promoting health literacy in the hinterland and mining areas.
I think your organization has reach. And what we're doing now in the Ministry of Health, we're trying to have strategic partnerships. That's why for that conference we invited so many organizations. That was for malaria, but you can help us in other things, not only malaria among your female miners, but other things. For example, other health aspects, female health, right? Pregnancies, teenage pregnancies, high-risk pregnancies, nutrition, health education and health literacy. So STDs, right? You understand me? So you got it. So we want to build that partnership.
The organization welcomed the partnership and is willing to assist the ministry in carrying out its activities.
We can assist you because we're there. It's non-profitable. We are not funded, and we are volunteer, and we'll volunteer to work with the ministry and its policy with the best interest I know that you have of providing better health care to all Guyanese, including minors. So definitely we could be of great assistance. We'd love to be a part. We'd love to be more involved, to know more and what you intend to do in some of these areas. What kind of health care could you improve for us as minors, and things like that.
The ministry will also be looking at the possibilities of training additional medical staffers to be stationed at specific mining areas, not only to carry out medical services, but educational programs dealing with issues such as alcoholism, smoking, teenage pregnancy, HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and cervical cancer.
Government continues to show its dedication to ensuring that every household is equipped with a laptop through the One Laptop per Family initiative. The program was launched with the aim of expanding the use of information communication technology across the country.
Since the One Laptop per Family distribution restarted on May 21st, the Secretariat has been targeting different communities in Region 4. More than 3,000 computers have already been given out. The OLPF team turned their focus on June 1st to residents within the Working Rust Georgetown catchment area. This distribution exercise was held at the Church of Light Church on Norton Street and saw about 200 residents receiving their computers.
This helps persons with disabilities to move towards what we like to call independent living. Because with a laptop, well, this actually is an outlet. They can do so many things. They don't have to beg you to type letters for them. They can surf the net. They can do small things that would make them comfortable. It's when you have a disability, you have to rely, especially with a physical disability, you have to rely on people for so many things. And any little activity or item that can reduce that dependence is good for you, right? And this is a very good project. 2 years ago, at the launching of the Person with Disability Act, President Jagdeo asked the then president, as our organization, that's the Guyana Council, to organize sessions to train persons with disabilities. And what has happened, member organizations like the Guyana Society for the Blind have been using these laptops to prepare blind persons for CXC exams, social studies. Our member in Region 5, the DPN in Region 5, has been using it also, right, to teach information technology. So this, I would call this a high point in the lives of persons living with disabilities in Guyana. And I must congratulate the government for that.
These recipients also benefited from preliminary basic introductory training, which was done by 2 designated trainers from the OLPF team.
I'm a big person, so my daughter would help me along. So I would go forward.
The government of Guyana is determined to ensure that its citizens are ICT literate.
During Cabinet's meeting on June 4, His Excellency Donald Ramotar and government ministers discussed several issues of national concern. The media was subsequently briefed on these deliberations. At its June 4 statutory meeting, Cabinet gave its no objections to 9 contracts totaling $2 billion. In the aviation sector, approval has been granted to Fly Jamaica to operate the Georgetown, New York and Georgetown, Toronto routes from Guyana. Government has also been engaging in discussions with JetBlue, which flies to several Caribbean countries.
The approval came after the standard evaluative procedures by the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority and the recommendation to Cabinet by the Minister of Public Works, Robeson Bell. A bond of $40 million was the sum, the value of the bond that was required, and which Fly Jamaica, I would assume, is deposited as one of the elements, the requirements for licensing in Guyana.
Despite the position being bandied about by the opposition leader, the Constitution of Guyana states that the head of state is the authority in the appointment of the Chancellor of the Judiciary and the Chief Justice.
The President and his engagement constitutionally driven with the leader of the opposition on the appointment of the Chancellor and the Chief Justice did not involve a process that brought the hands of the legislature, brought the hands of the executive into that process. Our habitual behavior, what has been the practice, the President nominates and the leader of the opposition says yes or no, then the President returns with a new set of submissions, the leader of the opposition says yes or no. This invitation to the public for expressions of interest or applying for this position, this is a novelty that I want to believe the President in unmistakable terms conveyed to the leader of the opposition his unwillingness to go down that road.
Meanwhile, the local government ministry has received 6 expressions of interest in recycling solid waste in Guyana.
The Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development presented a status report on the examination of the proposals that had been received. And those reports identified 6 forms that had expressed interest, 3 of which had submitted formidable proposals that emphasize a number of issues, including the regional and domestic experiences in recycling, domestic and international experiences in recycling, contributions by the government of Guyana in a recycling project, as well as the government of Guyana, their inputs, the financial plans and their commercial operations into project implementation.
And now here is this week's edition of Perspective with Dr. Prem Mizir.
There are some people who do not recognize and understand reality even when they come face to face with that reality. And people should accept something that is real and good for the country. A surge in patriotism should accompany that reality, which would make Guyana a better place. Yet, that surge in patriotism seems to be on the missing list in this country from time to time. For on the local scene, we seem to want to extinguish the low-carbon development strategy, a reality with revenue-bearing potential for Guyana. One of former President Bharat Jagdev's signal achievements is the low-carbon development strategy, which is both a historical triumph and a political albatross. For since the November 28, 2011 national and regional elections, a resolute effort has been underway to demonize the low-carbon development strategy. Today, this strategy has graduated to international proportions, catapulting Guyana onto the global stage, permanently symbolizing Guyana as a major contributor to mitigating climate change. Da Fonseca and others in No Forest Left Behind showed that reduced tropical deforestation may mitigate climate change. Reduced destruction of tropical forests became a new money phenomenon, whereby countries with low deforestation rates could generate revenues. In those early years of the climate change discussions, the high forest cover and low deforestation rate countries were not part of the scheme of things in the trading of saved carbon coming from decreased deforestation. These high forest cover and low deforestation countries are Panama, Colombia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Peru, Belize, Gabon, Guyana, Suriname, Bhutan, Zambia, and French Guyana. Yes, Guyana is part of the high cover low deforestation countries. And Da Fonseca and others also noted that it would be a mistake to exclude these countries, as they store about 18% of tropical forest carbon. And without providing them with carbon credit incentives, or money if you like, these countries may have little motivation to protect their rainforests. According to Da Fonseca and others, too, Guyana, with 77% forest cover and a 0.0% average deforestation rate per year in 2005, was expected to earn $57 million per year. That is US dollars. That is the fundamental idea in bringing to the fore the low carbon development strategy, to earn money for Guyana's development. The reality is that Guyana's forest cover can generate revenues. An opposing view is that Guyana's forest cover is less than what the low carbon development strategy suggests. But that view is largely irrelevant. The important point is the reality that Guyana's rainforest is a revenue generator. In fact, Guyana is the first high forest cover and low deforestation country to spearhead the low carbon development strategy and to further fortify its status among those countries with high forest cover and low deforestation. Guyana had needed a protected area network, which became a reality in October 2011. This was the Kanuku Mountains protected area with 611,000 hectares and the Shell Beach protected area with 125,000 hectares. Amid these efforts, the Norway-Guyana $250 million US dollars low carbon development strategy relationship continues to take a beating. The critics failed to take a long, hard look at the bigger picture of how tropical rainforests mitigate global climate change, and the fact that the low carbon development strategy for Guyana is a revenue earner. On the local scene, there are people whose pastime is to reject reality when that reality works in the country's interests. Perhaps they need to have a surge or an injection of patriotism. I thank you very much.
And that's all we have for you on this week's program, but before we go, here's a reminder of the highlights. Government spearheads cleanup campaign in the city, tougher regulations to be enforced against littering, and occupational health and safety measures intensify in mining camps. Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website, www.gina.gov.ui, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at gina@gina.gov.ui. Thank you for watching, and do join us again next week for another program. Until then, be safe and have a great week ahead. Goodbye.